Welcome to the Wellnest Mamas Podcast. We are committed to leading a sustainable lifestyle and making community connections. In a world where stress and chaos seem to be the norm, finding balance and fostering a sense of true well-being is essential.
Whether you are just beginning your holistic wellness journey or are already deeply dedicated to the practice, this podcast is for you. Join the Wellnest Mamas as we uncover the secrets to holistic wellness and discover the power of building a healthy community that supports and uplifts one another.
Sit back, relax, and get ready to embark on a transformative journey to leading a sustainably healthy lifestyle. We're glad you're here.
Hey everybody, we're back. This is Steph.
And I'm Caitlin, and we're with the Wellnest Mamas Podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Miss Lindsay Reeves from Hope the Mold Dog. And then what is your other?
Home Safe Mold Inspectors.
Home Safe Mold Inspectors.
Yes.
So I gotta admit, I was super excited about the dog, and I was wondering, I was like, should we invite the dog to the podcast? What, just sit there and pet it, you know?
I thought about bringing her. I really did. I almost got her.
So tell me, Lindsay, okay, how'd you get into mold? What's the mold story?
Let's hear it.
Mold found us. Yeah. So I have an accounting degree. So mold was not on my radar at all. My husband and I were in banking, and then he got in technology sales, and so we were very business oriented. Never in a million years did we think mold would be something we would get into. But in 2014, his job moved us to Alpharetta, Georgia. It's a northern suburb of Atlanta, and we rented a house and moved our 5-month-old daughter and our 2-year-old daughter in, and it just turned into a nightmare. Oh, no. So the day we moved in, our 5-month-old daughter started screaming. She started screaming all the time. She started hitting, kicking, biting, spitting, headbutting. She wouldn't eat, she wouldn't sleep. We took her to the doctor and they were like, oh, it's normal. She was a preemie, this is sensory issues, don't worry about it. You know, here's some occupational therapy, here's some speech therapy, you know, all these different things. And so we tried everything we could. We took out fragrance, we took out dyes, we did all the things, and she just got worse. Our 2-year-old daughter started getting sick as well, so she started having chronic bronchitis. She broke out in rashes. I would put her in plain bath water and she would break out. She started falling down for no reason. She started having really bad pain, everything hurt her head to toe. She got a bunch of cavities out of nowhere. She broke an arm out of nowhere. It was just one thing after another. She started having nosebleeds. She had her tonsils had swollen so big they were almost touching. She was snoring like an 80-year-old man, it was awful. But everything hurt on her. Same time, our kid over here is still screaming. And then I got sick. And so I started getting to where I couldn't put sentences together. I would mean to say one word and I would say something else. I was walking into walls.
Wow.
I was up all night, but I was exhausted. I felt like I had to go to the bathroom all the time, but I didn't. I started also having rashes. I lost a lot of weight. I started losing hair. I just became a zombie, basically. We had also adopted our son during this time. He was 17 when he moved in with us. He started getting sick. His were mostly respiratory issues and nosebleeds. And the last person standing was my husband. He traveled for work, and so he was never there. And so he was just watching all of us disintegrate in front of his eyes, and I kept going. I was taking all of us to doctors. And, in Atlanta, you would think, you got a million doctors to choose from, right? Every specialist under the sun. And so I took us to dozens of doctors, and nobody could figure it out. They were just like, I don't know, here's a cream, here's a pill, here's a steroid, here's an inhaler, all these things. Our daughter Sarah, her eye turned in, and so she had an eye that just turned in and shut off. So we took her to an ophthalmologist, and gastroenterologists and heart doctors and just anyone and everyone. And no one ever mentioned mold, ever. And so we went like that for 2.5 years. We just got to a point where we're like, we can't do this anymore. We've got to get answers. And my husband started working out in the basement, and his liver numbers shot up really high. So that turned out to be the epicenter of our mold, was in our basement. So his liver number shot up really, really high, and he was like, this makes no sense. Like, everyone in this house is sick, but we were all sick in very different ways. Almost no one had overlapping symptoms, so it didn't make sense. So he got on the internet and just started typing in symptoms, and mold came up. And so he said, I think the house could have mold. And we thought back to a spot on our daughter's ceiling when we'd first moved in. There was like a black spot on the ceiling where the wall and the ceiling meet. And we had called the landlord, and he had fixed it. Well, he painted over it. And so we thought back on that.
Paint.
Oh, yeah. Does not kill mold. No. So my husband was like, it's got to be mold. Like, it's got to be mold. And so he took our daughter one more time to the pediatrician and was like, hey, could all of this be from mold? And the pediatrician said, we can't diagnose mold illness, but I can tell you, I've seen this enough. You need to move your family out of that house immediately. And so we did. My husband called his mom. He bought her a plane ticket, and he was like, I need you to fly down here and be with Lindsay and the kids to get them back to Arkansas, help them, get back. And he was like, you're staying there until I figure this out. And so we left. We packed up just a small little bag, a few little things, left everything else, and he hired a mold inspector. That person came in, did a few things, but when he walked in the basement, he said, never let your kids come in this house again. And we didn't. I know. It makes me cry almost every time.
So I can't.
Yeah. It was a nightmare. So we lost pretty much everything we owned. We filled 3 giant dumpsters with our lives, very important, meaningful, things from family and, everything, our kids' stuff. So our kids lost every book, every toy, every stuffed animal, all their clothes, everything. But at that point, we would have lived in a tent under an overpass to see our family healthy again. To get our kids back to health, we would have done anything. And so walking away and throwing everything away was like, okay, if this is really what it is, then fine, we'll just walk away and we'll start over. And so that's what we did. We just got rid of pretty much everything that wasn't glass or metal or really heavily sealed. And we got moved into a new property, and then we just kind of lived our lives trying to get better for several years, but we very quickly became the crazy mold people.
How could you not after that? Oh my goodness.
So we were very vocal about our story. We told anyone and everyone that would listen, because we had no idea that mold could do that. And so we just wanted to shout it from the rooftops. We wanted everyone to know, because we didn't want anyone to go through what we had gone through. We were like, no family should sit there and watch their kids dying in front of their face and not know it could be from their house. And so we just spent years healing, learning, educating ourselves, and talking to other families. And so we would have, someone call us, and they'd be like, hey, can you talk to my uncle? Hey, can you talk to my neighbor? Can you talk to my sister? They think they have mold. So we did that for years. But at the end of it, they would always ask us the same question: who can come in and inspect our house? Well, at this point, we'd already left Atlanta. We were back in Arkansas. And we just didn't have anyone who would come in and do deep dive investigations. They wanted to come in and run air samples. We'd ran into it ourselves when we were trying to, check houses to rent. They wanted to come in, be there for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, run a few air samples, and be like, oh, you're good. And we knew we needed somebody who would do really long, deep investigations. And so eventually we just got to the point where we felt like we were being called to do that. And so in 2022 is when my husband opened his side of the mold inspecting business. And then in 2024 we added Hope, our mold dog. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been a fly on the wall watching your journey from, I think it was about 2023, 2022, somewhere in there, because I remember seeing a post of you guys coming back into the area.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, because at that point I'd been exposed to several people who have experienced mold in this area, because it's so prevalent in the South especially.
Yes.
But, oh my.
Yeah, it's been a journey, let me tell you.
Yeah. So what is the difference between what y'all do for mold inspection and where it's a run-of-the-mill air sample? How do you get deep into it?
Absolutely. So when we come in, we are there for many hours. My husband does a full exterior inspection and a full interior inspection, attic to crawl space. So if it's accessible, he's getting face-to-face with it. He's usually there from anywhere from 3.5 to 7.5 hours. We were at a house a couple weeks ago for 8. It's really just depends on how big and in-depth it is, but he's using, you know, every tool that you can possibly imagine: infrared camera, scope camera, moisture meter, humidity gauges, and then our eyes and what we've been trained on to look for. And so, you know, when he goes and he does an exterior inspection of the house, we see the building flaws that we know could mean trouble on the other side. Most people wouldn't see it, they wouldn't understand what that can mean on the inside, but because of us doing this for this long, like, we can see a particular roof line or, you know, missing flashing or staining on the outside of the house and be like, okay, the inside of that wall right there might be a huge problem. And so he spends hours in the house. He'll drill holes that are about the size of a straw and put a camera in there. He'll do wall cavity samples, swabs, and biotape. He won't do a lot of air samples because they're just not very reliable. About 80% of the time, air samples will say everything's fine, and there could be a mold colony 5 feet away. So there's some of the most dangerous molds, like Stachybotrys and Cotomium. They're wet, they need a lot of water, they're heavy, they're sticky, and they're really hard to get in air samples. And so they get missed all the time. And those are some of the most toxic molds. It's 2 of the molds that we had that cause a lot of neurological damage. And so, you know, Blake says his goal is to get face to face with the mold. When he comes in, he has a very, very fancy, very expensive suit that he wears, and he looks like he's an astronaut about to go to outer space.
I'm picturing the, like, hazmat guys from E.T.
That's what he looks like. That's what he looks like. So he actually has a air filtration system on his bag.
Oh, good. So
and
he's next to it, but not.
Yes. He's
himself
fully
safely
protected.
face to face.
Yes. And then where Hope comes in is I take her and we do an interior inspection. She and I are in there for super long. We are in and out. She's probably in and out within about 30 minutes. I'm usually in and out between an hour or 2 hours. But I go in with her, and she helps us find the really hidden areas that Blake wouldn't know to check otherwise. So houses that get flipped, houses that have had a long history, or someone remodeled them, or they painted, they quilted, you know, that kind of stuff. That's where she really shines, because the quilts doesn't fool her, you know, any of that paint doesn't fool her. If there's mold behind the wall, she can still smell it. And so we've had instances where she tagged someone's stove. And you're like, well, that's really weird because there's no water source here. Well, come to find out, behind that stove was a stairway, and underneath it there was a return from an HVAC unit, and it was open to the crawl space, and there was just moist hot air coming up underneath that stairwell and growing mold up behind it. And it turned out to be Stachybotrys, and it was like 50,000 something count of it too. So, and that's something that Blake very well could have missed, because you don't go moving people's stoves, you know what I mean? And that's not a water source, so you wouldn't think it would be there. But that's where she really shines, is finding those areas,
So how did the training process go? Like, I mean, I know dogs can search for drugs, they can search for bombs, they can search for humans. This is the first time I've ever heard of a dog being able to search for mold, and I just... It's so cool. So do you send her off to a special training? Is that?
We did. So there was a guy in Florida who pioneered mold dog training about 30 years ago, actually. His daughter had Lyme disease, and Lyme and mold do not play well together at all. And he had been a dog trainer for military and police and arson and all sorts of things. And so he was like, you know, I think I can train a dog to sniff out mold. If I can train a dog to sniff out accelerants and cash and all these other things, it was like, I can totally do mold.
Easier, I would imagine. It's pretty smelly.
It is usually pretty smelly. And so, several years ago, Bill started training them, and he still trains them now. There aren't just tons and tons out there. I would say in the United States, maybe there's 30-something mold dogs across the country. but it's not super common. It's becoming a little bit more common now because people are seeing the value, and mold is finally getting its day in the sun where people are like, oh, this is a big problem. And so they're becoming a little bit more popular, but it's a very niche thing. Yeah,
not
for
even
sure.
one per state is pretty lagging.
Yes, for sure.
How far do y'all travel to help people? Like, what's your circumference like?
Yeah, so we go to Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. We do a lot in Tulsa. We do a lot in southern Missouri, and then we'll go down pretty much anywhere in Arkansas. We go down to Little Rock and Conway and Russellville and Fort Smith and, different areas like that quite a bit, Eureka Springs. So we'll travel several hours. We get calls sometimes from other states, but we don't usually travel unless it's just our states, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, because I consider those pretty local to us since they're pretty close.
They are. They're really close. Well, that's good to hear. Do you have connections with other businesses in other states that you could hook them up with? I mean, is that,
yes.
do you have a network? Is there a network of?
Yeah, so we are connected to pretty much all of Bill's other dogs in different states. There's some in Texas and California and Florida and New York and different states like that. So we have a whole list of those, and we do refer people to those a lot. We also refer people to different mold inspectors that we know. We don't know some in every state, but there are a handful that will go nationwide.
Oh, wow.
So that's helpful. Yeah.
So tell us a crazy story. I know you've got the random oven. Is there any other stories that...
What's your best favorite?
Gosh, there's so many. I mean,
what about your favorite Hope story?
Yeah.
Well, I think our favorite Hope story is just how sweet she is at home with our dog Lily.
I love that.
we have 4 dogs. They're all rescues. Hope is a rescue. It was really important to us. We're definitely dog rescue people, and so it was really important when we were looking for a dog to train for mold inspection that we were able to rescue. But all of our dogs are small. And so it took us a while, but we were finally able to find Hope. She was in need of a family. She had been taken to New Jersey, and the people basically abandoned her. And so her original her original breeder, because she had been bred from a lady in Oklahoma, found out that she'd been abandoned and flew to New Jersey and picked her up. And then she found out we were looking for a Jack Russell and called us, and she was like, hey, I have this dog and I think she would be great. And we were like, that's perfect. She wanted a house where she had dogs to play with and kids to play with, and she has that
lives with y'all?
Oh yeah.
So she's a pet.
She's one of the family.
I love this. That's so neat that this is a true family business.
It is, and she gets so excited to go to work, let me tell you. So she knows when she's not at work, and she's just a nut. She's crazy. We have a Chiweenie named Lily, and they are besties. And they're just thick as thieves, let me tell you. They're always playing and running and jumping and being crazy and stuff, but when I pull out her vest and I tell her it's time to go to work, she hits the door running. She actually runs and starts jumping up on the door.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Amazing. I wish my dog was like that. My dog doesn't like the car. She'd be fine getting to there, but I think she gets her tummy hurt in the car. I don't know.
Sally is sweet.
Yeah.
She's a good girl.
So, how many people have you served in Northwest Arkansas?
Gosh, I wouldn't even know. We usually do 4 or 5 inspections a week.
Wow.
And we sometimes will do 2 a day, but we try not to do that a whole lot. I still have to be extremely careful because of my own exposure. And so I can't just be in these houses all day, every day. I have to limit it. I take a lot of supplements and do a lot of things as well, but I have to limit the amount that I can go in. So we usually do 4 or 5 a week.
That makes a lot of sense because you don't want to overload yourself.
No.
Do you find mold in every house?
We do. However, there's a caveat. It's because we vet our customers extremely heavily before we ever book an appointment.
Okay.
So to have us come in is not cheap. It's just not. We are there for a very, very long time. No one else does the joint inspections with the IEP, which is a mold inspector, and the dog. And for every hour we spend there, we spend 3 times as much on the backside, counseling, talking with them, working with them, doing the report, helping them through things, because we're not just inspectors, we are mold consultants. Like, we want to be there and help these people through the whole journey, because we didn't have that. We just had to make it up as we went, like when we were going through it many years ago. And so we really wanted someone to be someone that others could count on the whole way through. And so when people call us, if we don't think that there's a lot of red flags, we'll try to talk them out of it. I mean, like, unless they were just really insistent, but we ask them a ton of questions first. If we don't hear a lot of red flags, we'll have them do an at-home test first, because it's much cheaper that way. And so we'll have them do that first, and sometimes it turns out to be something else. I mean, I've talked to people, and they were like, I have one kid that's having respiratory issues, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, go to their room, take a flashlight, look in their HVAC vent, and see if there's insulation coming through their vent. And they're like, yes. I'm like, you need to have your ducts clean, get that out of there. That's that insulation. It's super toxic. They're breathing it in. You don't need a mold inspection. It's insulation. You know what I mean? And so we talk to people for a long time. So by the time we go to their house, we know. We pretty much know.
It's just about where.
It's about where is it. It's like, where is it, and what is it, and how much is it.
And and you identify what species it is.
Yeah, we do.
How do you do that? Do you
through our sampling, so swabs is mostly what we do. He'll do some wall cavity samples where he actually puts a tube into the wall and sucks the air out of the wall, but mostly through swabs. The direct samples are much better, and they just give you a better result than the air samples. And so
do you
that's
send it off to a lab?
Yeah, we send it off to a lab, and it usually takes a couple days for them to get it back to us. But yeah, we package it all up and send it off, and let somebody with a microscope, like they literally look at it with a microscope.
So I have experience doing that. I used to work in the hospital laboratory, so the more mold in the body, issues, and so like that, it's very curious to me, because I'm like, I've seen it. I've seen it grow. I've seen it, and I know how to look at it under the microscope and figure out what it is. Mostly like toes and stuff like that, like creepy. I don't know. But it's cool to see it on the other side, like before it gets into your body and starts infecting you. You can culture it from there. To be able to culture it in the house. It's just fascinating to me. I mean, I'm into microbes. I do have a little bit of experience with mold too. My home that I grew up in was hit by Hurricane Katrina. And whenever we came back home, like we had evacuated for a few days, and when we came back to the house, the roof was off the house, and rainwater came in. And I remember the walls were completely black.
Oh my God.
Completely black. Just like it was wallpaper.
So quickly.
Yeah, within just a couple of days. And I don't necessarily know that I had any like sickness or anything in that house, but I just remember being kind of grossed out by the fact that like it's got to be looming in here, in the ducts and in the thing. It just, how could they possibly have gotten it? They just ripped it out and redid it.
Well, they ripped it out, didn't
they? I mean, they ripped it out.
That's good. Yeah.
But it just makes me think, like, probably every home in South Louisiana is infested with mold, I wonder too, like, is it certain individuals that are more prone to being harmed by it, or like, and certain people can handle a smaller dose or something like that? Do you find that?
Yeah, so we find that most of the people that get affected are the women and the children. The guys are usually not affected, or at least they think they're not. A lot of times they realize it after the fact that they were, but it's not to the same level. So you'll have the women and the children that are just feel like they're dying, you know what I mean? And the guys over here, I don't feel anything. What are you talking about? But I think that their size, their testosterone, genetics, different things makes them less susceptible.
And but demographically, like you said, your husband is outside
of the home.
And that's especially in our area, so many women are staying home with the children, so you're always in it.
Yeah, and
bathing and The mycotoxins.
That's definitely true, and it's also proximity in the house. And so, you know, if it's in one person's bedroom and not the other people, and they're across the house, it's usually the person that's closest to in proximity that gets sicker. There are definitely genetic kind of predispositions. There's some different gene mutations that can cause people to be more susceptible. But, you know, I just say eventually pretty much anyone would get sick if they were exposed long enough. It's just how long does it take for your toxic bucket to fill up? Although we've seen a few people that must have like genes of steel because they've been in a house and like everybody in the house was like super sick and they're just like ready to run marathons, and we're like, we should test your genetics
figure out what it is that's,
you know.
Yeah.
But I do think after a long enough period of time, anybody would get sick at some point, given enough exposure. Yeah.
So if you're having like unexplained symptoms, that's kind of like, hey, the little twinkle should go off and say like, maybe
are there
there's
some kind of like sort of a short list of kind of common symptoms that people experience? I don't want to like scare anyone into being like, I have that, I have that,
like,
I have
would it
that.
be respiratory
But, like,
or
not a checklist, but really what you see commonly occurring with people.
So with women, we see a lot of anxiety, brain fog, really tired all the time. We do see breathing issues, rashes, pretty common on people, especially in the beginning stages of it. But it can be so far and wide. We do see a lot of behavioral issues with children. So pandas is really common with the mold exposure. So, you know, people say their kid, like everything was great and all of a sudden they kind of flipped and are now like behaviorally like having all sorts of meltdowns and maybe punching holes in walls, or they act like a different kid, you know, that kind of stuff. But I mean, we've seen everything from kids in wheelchairs because they can't walk because of mold exposure to people having seizures because of it. So it's very far ranging. And like I said, most people in the house have very different symptoms. Yeah.
And are those obviously I can't remember the name of the mold, but the sticky molds, are those more, I mean, you said that those are more severe.
Yeah.
Are those more common in this area? Like those are the ones that you're seeing?
You know,
a lot,
the
or are they
Stachybotrys and Cotomium are ones that need a lot of water. So we see those a lot of times after kitchen sinks have leaked for a long time, or a water heater closet has leaked for a long time, or tornado damage, or that kind of behind showers, you know, that kind of stuff. Mold is kind of universal though. It's like it's everywhere to some degree, but we do see that a lot in the people that are having neurological issues. So the people that are having seizures, can't think of words, rage, mold rage is a very, very, very real thing. We've seen people become heavily dependent on alcohol because they're just so out of it that they just go in a direction and they're coping, and they're like, my husband used to never drink and now all of a sudden like he's drinking super heavily, and it turned out to be because of the mold. I mean, it's crazy all of the different things it can do.
Once you get rid of the mold or find the mold, do you guys help with the remediation process, like fixing it, or do you just tell them what needs to be done? And would, after that remediation is done, would you come back and make sure it was good?
We do. So we have some remediators in the area that we work with, and so we'll refer those to people because we know the ones that do a really good job and contain it and do source removal and make sure that it's actually completely gone and everything's cleaned up afterwards. So after that's done, we'll go back in and do clearance testing. And so that's to make sure everything is gone before they take down containment and start rebuilding it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good to make sure you got it.
Yes. Yeah, because you don't want to build it back and it
Seal
just
it
be,
in.
you know, seal it in, or the water's still coming in for whatever reason, and you just have to do it all over again. So.
Yeah. Well, in that light, I'm very curious, what's the worst case you've seen in this area?
The worst case we've ever seen was a house just over in Oklahoma that we did not finish the inspection. It was so bad that I walked into their basement and walked back out and told Blake, I cannot be in there. It's too toxic. It's not worth it for me and Hope to be in there. So if it's super bad, like, I won't take Hope in there. It is not worth it to risk our...
She's valuable. You can't infect the tool.
So dogs, they can purge as they sniff, and it goes in and out like super fast out of their nose, so they're not inhaling it.
Really?
The same, so they're not affected, but if you live in it, they'll get sick. But if she's down there very long, she is breathing, and so then that will be inhaled.
Interesting.
And so it was so bad. The guy had been diagnosed with ALS, and it was extremely, extremely severe. They were sleeping in the basement, and it was so bad that even Blake didn't finish the inspection.
Wow.
We just told him, we were like, there's no reason for you to have us finish the inspection. You need to not be in this house and pretty much get rid of everything in it, which is rare for us. I would say 90% of the people we work with fix the mold, they stay in the house, and they keep their possessions. They might get a new bed, maybe new mattress and new pillows, and a few things like that, but most people are able to stay in their house. If we tell someone that they need to leave their house, it's serious.
It's bad.
Yeah, very bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Well,
I just can't imagine like what you would do at that point. Basically being like, all right,
burn it down.
I know. Is that something that insurance helps with? Have you found that?
Sometimes. So because of the storm damage recently, we've had several families that did get insurance to help them with things because it came because of the storm damage. But if it's like a builder error, they won't do that, or what they consider like wear and tear, they're not going to help with that. So back in the 90s, mold was covered, and insurance had to pay out massive lawsuits and massive amounts, for houses that had mold. And so they lobbied to have it taken out.
Like that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, like, there should be some sort of lobbying for standardized, at least statewide in the states that are so prevalent to, like, your building permit, you're not going to pass it unless you have a clean mold test.
Right.
Like,
and then you really think about the renters and people that don't even own their home and are kind of subject to whatever the landlord deems fine. And if they do the landlord special and just paint over it.
Those are so many of the stories that I've heard and especially in Arkansas, we don't, renters' rights.
Yes, there's no renters' rights.
It's just not there. So,
we talk to a lot of parents with their kids at a university that are living in university housing that has mold.
Which one? Tell me.
She's got one going.
We talk to a lot of families that have kids in apartments and different things, and if they are renting, it's really hard because most of the landlords do not want to fix it. And so we just tell them to become the biggest pain that they can possibly be. And we usually have them do like the dust test. It's an ERMI test that they can use, and they dust around and they mail it in. And at least that will give them kind of a scientific, historical, report of what's in the house. And at least then maybe they can use that to get out. We've told people, if you can go get a doctor's note, if you can go find a doctor that will say they need to be released from their lease, sometimes that works. But we've had people hire us just so they could take it to get out of a lease. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we've told people, like, if they'll let you out of your lease, just run. Like, because a lot of times they're like, oh, I really want my deposit back or whatever. And we're like, the laws in Arkansas are not on your side. It's so frustrating.
To get it
So there's an organization called Change the Air Foundation, and they're a nonprofit, and it's a group of people that have all been through mold exposure, and they are fighting very hard to get the laws in the states changed. So they're working in several states right now, and they've been working to pass some laws in other states. And when we have spare time, I'd love to work on that for Arkansas, but they really want to get it to where there's more rules, because honestly, in most states, there are no laws regarding mold at all. So anyone could wake up tomorrow and say they're going to be a mold remediator and brand themselves as that, and pick up a bottle of bleach and a can of Kilts and be like, I got this, and they know nothing about mold.
And
Really?
don't fix it.
And they don't fix it. And I mean, we still go to people. We went to one, and they had kids having seizures. They had a kid in a wheelchair and a kid having stroke-like symptoms. And they had someone come in and tell them they could fix their mold by bleach bombing it. And they did a bleach bomb in their house and charged a fortune, which unfortunately made them more sick. It was so sad. So sad. Yeah,
It's like they're preying on vulnerable people that are desperate for help. So what kind of certification should people look for when they're looking to hire somebody? Is there some sort of certifying body? Yeah.
So for remediation, there's the IICRC. And so if you're going to hire a remediator, you want to make sure that they are following IICRC S520 standards. And if anyone calls us, I have a big, long list of questions that they can ask for a mold remediator or a mold inspector. For people who aren't in our area, need a mold inspector, and I'll send them a whole list of questions that they can ask. Change the Air Foundation also has some downloads. But for an inspector, the biggest thing I'm going to ask is, how long are you going to be in the house? What all are you going to be checking? What tools are you going to be using? Do you rely only on air samples? Why are you in this business? You know, those type of things. Because after you have a 20, 30-minute conversation with them, you're going to know if they're going to come in and run air samples and be gone in 30 minutes or an hour. You know, you'll be able to figure it out pretty quick. Yeah.
Do you find that people hire you that are looking for houses? Like, I know most people usually get like a inspection before they buy a house, but has anybody ever brought you in before they buy a house just to be like, just make sure this one's good?
Yeah. We did one yesterday that was a purchase, and we do purchases quite a bit. We do stay pretty booked out though, so purchases are a little bit harder for us because we're usually booked out several weeks. But if we can line it up, we do purchases, and we'll come in and spend a very long time there. Most of the purchases turn out fine, but we have had a few where people did not wind up buying it.
And these are people more than likely have had experience with it before, and they, you know, are adamant that
this won't happen
we're
again.
going to make an investment. You want to make sure it's a good one, and if a regular house inspector isn't going to give you the full picture, you know, that's. They're not looking in the walls, I'll tell you that much.
Purchases are hard because we can't drill holes. So we have to get more creative on how we sample and different things. But we'll still be there for a very long time, and we'll use Hope, and she'll be able to tell us, you know, if she tags a random wall and she tags the whole wall, okay, well, there's something going on, you know what I mean? And so we'll at least be able to have some good ideas about what's going on. Now, sometimes we just open cabinets and it's plain as day. I mean, and we have cameras that are really small, and we can feed them into small holes, like behind dishwashers and under sinks and different things like that. And so, sometimes we just get our camera down there and you can just see, you know, the problems and everything.
What are you looking for? Is it black? Is it white? What does it have? Is it green?
Unfortunately, mold comes in pretty much every color. Every color. So there are over 100,000 species of mold that they know of.
Okay.
And they can come in every color from white to green to red to blue to gray to brown. Some of it's sticky and heavy, and some of it's soft and light and fluffy. And I mean, it can be so many different things.
Okay.
So that's why it's hard for some people to identify it, because they're like, oh, I thought that was dust. That was us. And in our house in Atlanta, part of the mold that we have is aspergillus, and it was growing on baseboards in the basement, and we thought it was dust. We just thought it was dust.
And aspergillus, is that the bread mold? That's the one that you would see more commonly?
It can grow on that, like penicillium. It can grow on that, but it can grow anywhere.
I know it's a bad one.
It likes
That's
just
one that
humidity.
gets into people's lungs.
It can,
Like
aspergillosis.
Like, oh, it's not such a big deal. People get this all the time. Here's some antifungals. Enjoy.
Right.
I have a family member that's going through that right now, and they're like, I think she is cleared now. Finally. But so if I called you and we did a pre-move-in inspection and everything seemed good, but I was like, well, I've had experience with this. What kind of tools can I do to maybe prevent some of those things or areas to look at and pay attention to? I know you brought some fun things.
Yeah, I brought a bunch of stuff.
I'd love to see.
So like I told you, our goal would be to put ourselves out of business. If we could teach everyone to do these preventative steps as soon as they move in a house, it would be amazing.
Right.
So this is a mat. It's just a rubber mat that you can get on Amazon or Walmart or any other store. They come in a ton of different shapes, sizes, and colors.
I need one of these.
Oh, these are lifesavers. And so I tell everyone, I'm like, before you put a single thing under your sink, this goes down. I also will sometimes cut it and put it underneath different products for like dish soaps and laundry detergents or cases of water. Anything that could wind up leaking, we have these for.
Okay.
And then we put these are water alarms, and they just sit down right on the mat. And so we have these under every sink. We have them behind every toilet, by our water heater, in our HVAC. Anywhere that there's water, we have one of these, and they're very loud. And so
we heard it earlier.
We experienced
We
it.
took out the battery.
You're lucky we took out that battery. And then this is a hygrometer. And these you can get for like $11 at Walmart. You can get a bunch of them on Amazon. And it will tell you your humidity in the house. And so we like to see humidity between 30 and 50%. If it gets to 55%, okay, let's start paying attention. It's probably middle of summer. We live in Arkansas.
We're at 61% now.
But if it gets to 60,
humid
then you want to start paying attention and be like, okay, why is the humidity so high? We might need to turn the air conditioner on, have it run for a little bit. Some rooms might need dehumidifiers, that kind of stuff. Because once you get to like 65%, there's molds that will grow from humidity only. They don't even need a water source. They don't need a leak. They don't need water damage. They will grow on dust from humidity.
Wow.
And so these are super important. We have them all over our house. And then this
We might
is
need
a
one for this
moisturizer.
room.
I'll leave this one for you. I buy these by the case.
Oh my goodness.
And then this is a moisture meter. And you can set it to different types of building materials. And we really like this for people with tile showers because tile showers are prone to fail, and they'll start holding water over time. And you'll start noticing there'll be mold growing in the grout, and you clean it and it comes back, and you clean it and it comes back, and you seal it and it comes back. A lot of times it's because the water is being held underneath it and it's just sitting there. So you can use this to get a baseline by, whatever material you want to use it on. So let's say tile showers. You would start by using it up high on the tile and see what it reads. And so let's say it's 18, 19, 18, 17. Okay, those are all kind of in line with each other. And then you put it on the base and it's 72. Then you're like, oh, that's a problem. Now, obviously, if you just took a shower, then it's going to be wet, right? But what we found out with ours was we didn't take a shower for a week in there. We tried it. It was really high. We waited 3 weeks. We tried it again. It was really high. And we waited a few months. It was really high. And so eventually we're like, okay, this thing is definitely holding water, and we wound up having it ripped out. And once we got down to having it ripped out, we realized our builder had built it with the bench had been built after they built the shower. The bench had no waterproofing at all. And it was cinder blocks filled with sand.
Oh.
And then tile.
That'll hold water, sure.
We had a lot of wet sand in our shower.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's an interesting tactic to build a bench.
And you see how quickly they build these houses.
Yes.
I mean, they just put them up.
Yeah.
So
Yes, they do.
That is So what would you say is the best best shower? Like, would you recommend like a acrylic type?
Yeah, so
shower?
we love just the inserts. I mean, they work really well. I mean, people don't love them because, aesthetically they don't look as well, but they're fine. As far as we don't see a lot of damage behind them unless they get cracked for some reason. Sometimes they are short, so we like to see people extend the waterproofing up the wall.
Okay.
Because they can be very short sometimes.
Because then it could leak in from
it can leak
above.
in, yeah, or splash or whatever.
Yeah. And then drip down.
Yeah, so we like that, but what we did with ours, because ours was a very unique shape, we couldn't put one of those in there. We actually had a custom base made that was a solid base, and then we use panels. So they make panels now that are cultured marble and all sorts of beautiful things that look amazing, and you can use those, and it's one solid piece for a wall. Yeah,
I love that idea because cleaning grout is just no.
I've often said I'd love to meet the person back in, I don't know, the 80s or whenever, that designed tile showers for the first time. It's like, this is a great idea. You know, we're going to put something that's porous and let's water through, on something that gets used every day with a ton of water.
My husband's going to love this podcast because I recently, my kids, they need a new tub in their bathroom, and I was telling him I would love to do a tile surround because it just looks so pretty.
Beautiful.
And now he's going to be like, good, we don't have to do that anymore. I can just put another insert in there and we're good to go.
You can make it work.
Yeah.
Okay, you can make it work. So if you're going to use tile, we recommend a Schluter system or a Wheatie board system because it's complete waterproofing.
Okay.
And then use large format tiles. And so those really big tiles are great. On the base, though, I would never do anything except for a solid base.
Okay.
I would only do a solid base. Those like pebbles and the tiny stones, they look amazing.
That's another
nightmare.
That's another
they don't clean
nightmare
well.
to clean.
They look good the first
moldy
day.
Yes.
Moldy river rocks.
Yeah.
That's not luxurious.
I often say tile showers, they're just made to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built, they have a life expectancy the minute you put them in, and you're going to have to replace it at some point. I mean,
and people, you're supposed to seal your grout every 6 months or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Nobody does that.
no one does that. No.
Does that?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need low
Remembers.
maintenance, easy. Okay, so this is cool. So if people get these tools, they can use them, they'll be alerted if there is some sort of leak, because more than likely it's a sink that's dripping, it's something that is consistently happening. It's probably not going to be just like something random.
Yeah, I mean, most of
conditioner.
the times we see issues are kitchen sinks, chimneys, which we can't do a water alarm there, but we see old chimneys where the flashing has broken down. So make sure if you have a chimney, you're making sure someone's checking the flashing. Check, up there every few years at least, but annually would be best. Water heater closets, we see that because it's usually out of sight, out of mind. And so if you have one of these, in a water heater closet, that can be a huge lifesaver. And then, wherever your HVAC is, if you can have it around that, behind your washing machine. I would say kitchen sinks is one of the biggest areas we find things, though.
Yeah, because it's like a cave under there.
There's all stuff in front of it.
Well, and I've read that it's like the most used water source in a house.
Really?
Oh,
And so,
sense. Everybody dirties dishes.
Yes, they do.
My kids fight showers and baths, so they're not using that very often.
So tell me, what are you doing in the community? I know you mentioned like a support group.
We do. We have a support group, and we usually meet every other month. I posted on our Facebook and our Instagram. We're actually due to get another date coming soon, so we'll probably meet at the beginning of July next. But it's open to any ladies who've been through mold, going through it now, gone through it in the past. And we just meet and try to support each other. We let them tell their stories. Sometimes it's just really helpful to be in a room with someone who knows what you're going through, because I can't tell you the amount of times that I've talked to people and they're like, everyone thinks I'm crazy. Everyone thinks I'm losing my mind. My family thinks I'm crazy. My coworkers think I'm crazy. My husband thinks I'm crazy. And so being in a room with other women who have been through that is so helpful. And so, yeah, we do that every couple months, and it's really
amazing.
an awesome get-together.
So you're not alone. If this sounds like
Yeah.
something, you should come to these meetups. I mean, that.
And what is
Yes.
your social media stuff? Just while we're talking about finding that.
Yeah, so it's just Hope the Mold Dog on Instagram and Facebook, and then Home Safe Mold Inspectors of Northwest or of NWA on Instagram and Facebook. We have websites at the same, so it's hopethemolddog.com and homesafemoldnwa.com. Yeah,
Perfect. We'll drop those links too. So
yeah, and I told her I'll send you guys the links to all this
that would
stuff
be
as
That
well.
would be great.
would be
Yeah,
great.
because people, I think that they'll be tuning in and be
Yes.
and like, how can I be
Yeah.
proactive
Yes.
instead of reactive?
Yes.
You know.
You know, these water alarms also, there's some that come with Wi-Fi enabled. We don't have that, but you could if that's what you wanted. So especially the ones that are up in the attic, that's good for when you're going on vacation. You know,
travel a lot.
Yeah,
Some
some
people-
pipe burst and you're.
Yes,
Yes,
that happened to
yes.
one of my friends,
Oh my
Victoria.
goodness.
You know
Oh, yeah.
Victoria in their house in Bella Vista. They left and it. Bleh.
Oh.
So to that note, I would say learn where your water shutoff in your house is and know exactly how to do it. If you have to hire a plumber to come to your house and they'll pay, charge you $150 or whatever to show you where it is and how to shut it off. A lot of times it's out in the garage where the water heater is, and, if your water heater's out there. But if you know how to shut that off in the event of an emergency, it can help you so much. And some people will actually turn their water off when they leave for vacation. They'll go to that and they'll just shut it off when they leave.
That is so smart.
They do have monitors now that you can actually put on your system that if it notices a surge, it will automatically shut your water off.
That'd be cool. All right, guys, homework. Find your water shut off.
Prevention.
Yeah, speaking to myself also, I'm like, I don't know where that is.
Definitely find that for sure.
This is so amazing, Lindsay. I am so glad that you're doing this work and helping people and really being a source of hope.
Yes.
You know, this is just incredible. I'm so glad. Is there anything else you want to share?
Gosh, if this sounds familiar, just give us a call. We talk to people all the time. You don't have to be in our area. We have many hours-long conversations sometimes with people just because they need somebody to talk to, and so they're welcome to call us. If they have family in other states, they can still call us. We just really want to be a resource for people. So yeah, give us a call if any of this sounds familiar, and I'll walk you through a lot of steps and questions and everything to see if we think it's something that might be, causing them problems, and if not, we may try to help send them in a different direction. But yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you. What you're doing.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks. Thank you, guys.